Hi friends, welcome back to Botanical Woman. I'm Christine. In this 3-part series, we'll be talking about where to buy plants online. And in this video, we'll be discussing the risks involved in buying plants online so you can have a positive shopping experience. If you'd like to grow along with us, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into it.
I don't want to scare anybody off with this topic, but I think it's really important to talk about it because buying plants online, as much as I wish that it was risk-free, it is not. And so that is something that I thought that would be really important to address before we talk about, our favorite places to buy plants. The first thing is quality. It's really hard to see the quality of the plants, especially for places like smaller places like say Facebook Marketplace, where you're getting a photo that someone's taken in their bathroom and it's like dimly lit, and so you only really have the photos to rely on. And so from that perspective, I feel like you're not entirely sure what you're getting, but I think that buying plants from a reputable seller or dealer is your best bet. So places like YouTube is a good place to look for reviews. If you just put in like plant review, you should get a lot of, let me switch over and see what there is. So if you put in plant review, there are a lot of YouTubers, including myself, that have ordered plants like Harley G here with Gabriella Plants, and she's doing a review on it. So this is a great way for you to learn about what their experience was. But obviously this is only one incidence, so you have to take it with a grain of salt because they might have had a bad experience or a good experience, but this is only one experience. So I think it's better to just do more research on your own. And so places that I would direct you to are maybe some Facebook plant groups. So here, well, that's my favorite. Okay, so if you go to Facebook pages or Facebook groups and just put in house plants, there are a lot of kind of forums, modern day forums, where you can ask a lot of questions. Has anybody sold this plant, bought this plant from this seller? And usually people in the community are quite happy to give you their honest answer, I guess, or at least we're hoping for that. And the other thing that I really want to bring up, which I've talked about before, is the BST Facebook page. And it's kind of like, just think about it as Yelp. So a lot of us will have purchased a plant or sold a plant to somebody, and we will review that person. And unfortunately, there are a lot of negative experiences, so that is what you will mostly see. But a lot of people do post positive reviews of sellers as well. So if you want, I highly recommend that you double check the person who you're about to buy from before at this group. So look for them in the group. I can't show you guys the page, so I think it's so you can kind of sidebar and Google it. Search for it on the side of the name of the person that you want to look up, and you should be able to find reviews there, or you can put your own post. Is there anything else I want to add to that, or anybody else want to add anything? Bidding wars are intimidating. Yeah, I do not like those either. Yes, some people do sell on Instagram, and I think that from that also people who are selling on Instagram are probably private collectors. So once again, there is sort of a risk there. So just keep that in mind. Yes, I have a tiny dancer behind me. Yeah, so the other thing I was going to talk about is you can also obviously get recommendations from people on Instagram. It is not as friendly in my opinion, so I would go with Facebook mainly and try to either search for the person you're going to buy from, or just make a post on some of the groups or the BST plant review group. Okay, moving on, I'm going to talk about size a little bit. I think it's really important to read the description, because a lot of times I feel like they will put on like a photo of a plant. Let me see if I can find, an example on eBay, which is really, really common. They will post a photo of a plant, but that's not actually the plant they're selling you. It is either the mother plant or an example of the plant. And so it is just important to, make sure you understand this is the plant you're getting. Like this listing, sorry, whoever this is, but like, are you actually getting this plant, or are you getting a cutting of this plant? See, you're actually getting a cutting. And it does say here, it's a starter plant, which is good. Sometimes they will not mention that. So I just think it's important to read the description to make sure you know what you're buying. And if you're buying, obviously, a cutting or a rooted start or whatever it is, be ready to be able to take care of it. Just want to make a quick mention on pests. And you're going to get pests. You're likely to get pests no matter where you buy a plant from. But I think it's important to understand their policy from the person you're selling it from, buying it from, because you get a plant with whatever mealy bugs, like I did from Josh's frog, or I got a plant infested with spider mites from the plant farm. Like, what is their policy? How are they going to handle it? So keep that in mind. And quickly talk about shipping costs. Obviously this increases the price of your plants, so I usually try to buy my plants locally as much as possible. It also obviously helps with not having to deal with shipping stress. And great segue into that, because you should think about how much your plant will suffer being in a box for 3 to 5 days, depending on where they're coming from. So I would say Hoyas in general are, not all Hoyas, but a lot of Hoyas are going to ship with no stress pretty much. Succulents and cactus are also pretty hardy. I've had philodendrons, begonias, and ripsalis shipped to me, and they have also been pretty easy, like no major rehabs, except, if you, unfortunately, I have also received a plant in the past through the mail where it was already not doing well, and then the seller shipped it to me, and so it just continues to suffer. So you gotta be, you're exposing yourself to all these things when you're buying from various sellers. So, which is why what prompted this video is, so I want to guard you guys from having the same experience. So I also think about where the plant is coming from. I usually try to say, I'm in Seattle, so I'll try to buy as close to me as possible. So like, to me, Hawaii is probably like not too far. So I've definitely ordered plants from there before. But if you live, say, in New York and you're ordering from Hawaii, that's a long way to go. And the plant might make multiple stops before it gets to you. So you should think about where you're ordering from. And also the weather is really important. If it's too hot or too cold, you might get damage. I have actually tried to avoid buying plants over the winter, just because I don't want to deal with having to nurse a plant that I just bought at home for several months. Okay, so Megan is sharing. She also has her own plant page. I think it's called Plant One on Me. The BST review group has a do not trade sell list. Yes, it is on. I want to say it's in the documents or the announcement section. Yes, read the description. Unfortunately, not everybody knows how to package a plant. I would say for the most part, if you're dealing with big places like Steve's Leaves, they will obviously have no problem. They package, hundreds and hundreds of plants every day. But if you're dealing with a small private seller, they might not know how to ship a plant. And how can I even say this? I don't know. Do you ask the person, like, do you know how to ship a plant? Because it's just awkward. But in the past, when I have dealt with a smaller seller, what I would do is share with them my shipping technique and then seeing how they respond to it. Because I don't know, it's really sad. Sometimes people just throw, and this has happened to me before, but it was over a trade. She put a really small 4-inch plant in a 12-inch box and didn't put any stuffing around it. So the plant was just bobbling along across the US. And it got to me. And luckily it was a Hoya compacta. And as the name lends itself, it is very compact, so therefore it was okay, and it survived that brutal trip across the US, because I think it came from either Virginia. I think it came from the East Coast. Anyway, it's a question that you should ask yourself. I'm not sure how to address it. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. I don't think people are upfront about it either. It's just hard. I think it's better for you to supply them with the information. Be like, hey, maybe you need to stuff the plant. But then sometimes they overstuff it. I don't know. There's a lot of problems. I will move on because I don't really know how to address this properly, even in my own experience. The other thing I want to alert you guys about is understanding their lost mail policy. I have seen Facebook sellers write out very clearly that they will not reimburse you or send you a new plant if the plant gets lost. And I think that that's honest, rather than, waiting for something bad to happen. So I think you just need to know how they're going to handle it if your plant gets lost in the mail. And it does happen, unfortunately. So just know. And then lastly, it all comes down to customer service and communication. And I think that, even with my instance with Josh's frog, I got a plant, it had mealybugs on it. I wrote to them, I sent them photos. Not that they asked me to, but I just did. And they were like, no problem, we will completely reimburse you for the whole order. I was fine. So I was pretty happy with that as a customer. And the communication was pretty effective. So I would still go back and buy a plant from Josh's Frog. That was still a pleasant experience. My other example for good communication is the plant farm. They had excellent communication. I had got a plant with spider mites. They told me that, just send the plant back and we'll give you a full reimbursement. I was not too thrilled about sending the plant back because I know it was just going to die, but that's what they wanted. And I did get my money back, so I can't complain. So I would say good customer service is really important. Megan says that this happened with an aloe I got off of eBay. It broke the plant in pieces. They recommend taping it to the box so it doesn't get tossed around. Yeah, so either filling it with, whether it's popcorn or, paper, shredded paper. I've had a seller that shred paper at home. They had a paper shredding machine and they just, kind of, you don't want to overstuff it, but you want to stuff it enough so the plant doesn't bounce around like crazy. So it's just important to know how to package a plant when you're shipping it. And I have actually done a video on this if you guys wanted to ever ship a plant.